What's going on, everybody? I am Audrion, and this is There It Is. What's up? Welcome back. Once again, I am Audrion. This is There It Is, and today we're just going to kind of switch it up a little bit. What I'm going to do now, I have to introduce Caleb King, co-owner of Dripp Donuts. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me.
A pleasure having you. We have a magnificent guest, but usually we have a quote of the day, right? But this one that we found not too long ago was just so crazy that I wanted our guest to hear it for the first time because it was ridiculous. So I'm gonna read this verbatim just for you to hear this. All right. A new study, and this is a quote, by the way, and I'm gonna say at the end who said this. So it says, a new study found that Americans are exercising more than ever, but still not losing much weight. Not good, in fact. It's all I could think about on my jog to Dripp Donuts. Now, can you guess who said this? I'll give you a hint.
Matt?
Negative. Negative. Talk show host Jimmy Fallon said this.
I like it.
So the reason I wanted you to hear this for the first time is because is there a Dripp Donuts in New York?
I don't know. I haven't seen Jimmy lately. I don't know. Someday we'll get to New York, but
Okay.
I can see that. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel it. You know, we definitely reward ourselves with our exercise.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted you to hear it first. I mean, it could be Dunkin' Donuts, but I'm almost positive he said Dripp Donuts. I'm almost positive.
I love it.
So what I want to do today is we're going to get into Dripp Donuts. We're going to get into everything that you're doing, but I want to take it back and kind of figure out how you got to where you are right now. So we could go back as far as you want, and then we'll bring it forward.
It was a kind of a seat of our pants thing. This was a COVID business, honestly. We were changing gears. I was dating Michelle during COVID. We were traveling around, camping all around the West Coast, and came back to Shreveport. I was born in Shreveport. We came back for Christmas to see the family. We were going to stay about 3 days. And 3 years later, we're still here. we rented an apartment right down the street at the Standard Lofts, and I started making bread, and baking, doing all that COVID stuff. And I ended up frying donuts in the apartment, and the kettle kept growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And I get a 20-quart mixer delivered to the apartment, and it arrived on a skid on a pallet through the lobby, and the super caught me getting it delivered, and he's like, So I ended up having to rent commercial kitchen space, and one thing led to another, and we started actually getting a production kitchen going and started selling them out of a food truck.
Okay.
And it kind of grew from there. It was a really organic thing. We never intended to have a donut shop. We just saw the market opportunity. Mm-hmm. There was a really basic level of donut product in Shreveport. There was nothing elevated. Mm-hmm. And we thought, hey, let's give it a go. And people really responded, which motivated us. Yeah. Once you see that response from customers, it helps give you that motivation to keep going and give it your all.
That's true. So before, like when you were younger, like your parents, Michelle's parents, anybody entrepreneur back then?
My grandfather was a small businessman. He had King Hardware on Line Avenue, which is kind of a Shreveport institution.
Still.
It was like that old-fashioned hardware store. But nothing really out there entrepreneurial. I don't really know how this happened, honestly. We just wanted to do something different, and either one of us didn't have the pedigree. I mean, Michelle has a corporate background, and I had a pretty safe real estate background, a very low risk background. So this was a big step for us.
I know your wife, so she's native of Toronto,
Right.
correct? So how did you even get up to Toronto if you?
My ex is Canadian. So right out of LSU, I moved to Canada, or pretty soon afterwards, and I thought I would be there forever. I had no intention of moving back here, and I don't think Michelle did either when we came down to visit. Neither one of us did. It was going to be a in and out trip, and then
You found that house.
we did. You know, that's a funky little. It's actually, this building reminded me of it a little bit. The tile roof and that, you know, that Spanish kind of style, and you know, this beautiful housing stock and great people here, and it's a real sense of community in Shreveport that you don't get in a big city, and you kind of miss that. We definitely kind of got a vision of what we could have in that brief time that we were here at Christmas, and I think we both kind of fell for it. We didn't even really talk about it much. It was an emotional thing, you know. It was just like this.
Feeling.
Yeah, it really was. We just were driving around and we saw this sign and we were like, should we do it? And that's how it happened. It was very spontaneous, but the fact that we didn't have to talk about it made it even more powerful. You know, like we didn't have to make a pros and cons list. You know, when you know, right? So
who really taught you how to cook or how to bake? Where'd that come from?
my mom's a good cook. That always helps. You know, when you have that background in the kitchen. My grandmother's a good cook too. I did go to culinary school more for like personal enrichment in Toronto, if you can call it that. I never cooked commercial, like as a commercial enterprise, but I did go. So I was certainly comfortable in a kitchen environment. It wasn't intimidating to me. Yeah, my mom was certainly instrumental in planting that seed early on. You know, and she still cooks all the time to this day. She makes it look easy too. That's what I wish I had that, you know. She can have like 3 grandkids running around and, you know, one on her arm and still have four burners going and talk your ear off at the same time, you know. It's pretty amazing to watch.
So does she, well, I was going to say still, but I don't know if she did before, but does she kick you out of the kitchen?
She lets me help a little bit. She gives me a job to do, sticks me off in the corner. But no, she does ask my advice. I don't know if she's pumping my tires or what, but she does ask me for advice sometimes. But yeah, we do enjoy cooking together. She's always trying something new here and there. And she helps 2 days a week at Dripp Donuts too.
Really?
So she's experiments there too. We got an airbrush last week, so we're playing with that some. So yeah.
So truly a family.
It is. You know, absolutely. My dad was helping fix gas lines yesterday. There's always something going on over there.
Gotta come together.
Yeah.
So you talk about yesterday. I know before we started today, we got into a little bit of the event that just closed out that pretty much took everyone to make it a success. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So the Revel is a big local festival, and it runs for 9 days, and you don't really get a day off. You're there every day of the event. So that's a big time commitment, and you know you need a lot of family support to make that happen. From you know Michelle putting up with me being gone the whole time, and she was making grocery runs for all the things I forgot because I was all over the place, and you know my parents helping with the kids, and Dad helping fix things that I broke, and it's a true family affair, and the business just wouldn't work without that, you know, and that's what makes it a hometown thing, and I think that's what people have responded to here, you know, I really do. And when you see that community support, people will buy things even when they're messed up, you know, they're like, they get it, they know you have a bad day, you know, they're supporting you, you know, and it's really encouraging, you know, and it helps get you through the rough patches, and that's what you know being a community business is all about, and it means a lot, you know. So the Revel, we needed a lot of that support because you just run out of gas about halfway, but you got to keep going, you know. So we're still recovering from that. I think maybe by Thursday or Friday I'll know my name again. But yeah, you can tell I'm not 100% yet, but hopefully I'm coherent.
Yeah, I mean, you seem fully coherent.
Okay, good.
You're good.
All right.
So, okay, I want to touch a little bit on how it became, and then we'll get into like Dripp itself. But I know it started in your home that you kind of talked about, and then you just kind of rapidly got bigger and bigger, and then you had to move somewhere. We'll talk about where that was.
Yeah, so we started fully mobile. So our camper van became a food truck because that's what we had. You know, we used what we had. And it added like a little cool factor too, because it was, you know, it's like this Mercedes camper van and you're selling these like, high-end donuts out of it. Dripp donuts, you just open the door and boom, these nice, great donuts in a black Benz truck. It's just a cool concept, honestly. And we'd never planned it that way. It was just this kind of cool. And you know, that kind of, it's great, but the novelty kind of wears off eventually after it comes to your neighborhood 4 or 5 times. You know, eventually, you know, you start seeing things kind of plateau. So we knew that wasn't a long-term sustainable. I mean, it would be at a certain level, but not at a support the family level, you know. So, and also I didn't want to be traveling around 6 days a week. We needed like stability and production kitchen. And so we wanted to actually have a storefront, and instead of going there, have all, you know, people come to us. And we had this great opportunity at the old D's Photo Building. So everybody in Shreveport who grew up here remembers those signs downtown, D's. And it just so happened that it was available, and the Downtown Development Authority was looking for something exciting and different for that location, you know, something other than another law office or you know, you can put those things anywhere, right? So it needed something with some attraction, some draw, and fortunately we were a good fit for it, because that building is certainly a good fit for us. And Liz Swain and the late Jim Walsh, who just passed last week, helped put this deal together for us. And it's been amazing. It's a really large production facility that we're kind of growing into as we go. And it's a gorgeous corner of downtown Shreveport. It's incredible. I mean, right at Texas and Market, right by Regent's Tower, 21 parking spaces. It's been amazing. I think we've only scratched the surface of what we can do with that. I mean, only have so many hours in the day to utilize it, but I'm hoping as we continue to grow that we can really make use of that amazing resource and do it justice, because it's an incredible space, and we're excited to really grow into it. We've got the food truck running 1 day a week in the parking lot on Wednesday. We've got plans for some other things during the week next year, like a jazz brunch on the weekend too. Nice. So yeah, once we get that going too, it's going to be really fun. Okay. So plenty of runway there, and we are thrilled to be downtown.
But you have a lot of good ideas. I can hear them just when you're talking now. And I want to see, because you talked about the late Jim Walsh, may you rest in peace, but that was like sort of your mentor, correct?
His optimism was certainly part of what got us to stay here, I think. I remember clear as day, we were at the Standard Lofts and we went to Rhino Coffee, and he had just opened Andrus, and his face was on the cover of 318, or one of the weeklies. And I was like, I got to go talk to this guy. This looks like a cool thing. Called him up. I think he said, yeah, come by tomorrow. And he gave me a tour of the whole building, you know, didn't know me from Adam. And sat down and talked to me. And he's like, you know, I got just the thing for you. And he connected me with Cohab, and Jessica Sheely over there. And it got me in the kitchen side of it. It got me set up with you know, half of the vent hood space. And I didn't even have to really pitch him. He was like, yeah, I get it. You know, we need something like that. And he was a really optimistic guy, and it was infectious, you know, like it made you believe in yourself, that he had seen a lot of pitches, that he would back you that quickly or make a judgment call that quickly about it, you know what I mean? Without you really having to sell him. It definitely gave me a lot of confidence. So Jim was always there, and he always went to bat for us at key junctures. Like, and it was interesting. You might not hear from him for 6 months, but if you needed something, he was there, and he would answer the phone immediately. You know, it was pretty cool to have someone like that in your corner. Definitely, he will be missed for sure. Really amazing guy, and an amazing resource that Shreveport doesn't have anymore. It's very sad.
So let's jump into Dripp Donuts, period. All right, so everything started. Right now, you have the establishment, which is huge. I think we did a breakfast in there last month.
Yeah.
Yes.
The hospitality breakfast.
Yes,
yeah.
hospitality breakfast was in there. Very nice place. What I want to know, what does a normal day look like in there?
So we get a lot of pre-work traffic, like people taking a lot of stuff to the office. We get a lot of salespeople taking stuff to meetings. So our bread and butter is boxed donut sales. We're trying to expand more of the habitual traffic, like coffee sales, like people just on their way to work. That's been a little slower than I expected. It's just, I think people already have their habits, you know what I mean? So we're trying to kind of get people to change their habits a bit and stop by and get a coffee. But the average day is more of a steady flow than a rush. But I'd say 8 to 9:30, it's pretty constant. Okay. And then we get moms with kids after school drop off, like moms with young kids. Mm-hmm. And then afternoons are always slower, but we get people studying, a few people just taking a break from the office. But that's kind of our retooling time. We get ready for the next day, we clean up. But yeah, it's been a interesting experience coming from a downtown that, obviously COVID has impacted every downtown, but you know, coming from, I've lived in New York and San Francisco and Toronto, and you know, seeing downtowns that have huge foot traffic, and this Shreveport's more of a driving downtown. Yeah. You know, people like, I do it. I drive to the Y sometimes to work out, and I'm like, how lazy can you get? It's 3 blocks away, and then I got to pay for parking when I get there. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But it's hot. I mean, come on. So I get it. The foot traffic is definitely slower than most downtowns. But we knew that going in. I mean, it's a pickup business. People just pull up. We've got great access off of Market Street, so people can pull over and grab their stuff and go on. We're about to launch delivery, which I think is going to be huge, because downtown is just still out of the way for a lot of Shreveporters that have their little routine, you know, where they do their daily thing. So we're about to launch that in November, and I think that'll be a significant part of the business as well. So we're excited to do that as well.
So you'll have a baker that you hire. They come, they sit with you to learn exactly how to go through everything.
Right, exactly. I kind of learned the hard way in CoAB, and then I think at first we tried training people who didn't have much baking experience, and it was too difficult.
A learning curve.
Yeah, it was frustrating for them, frustrating for us. So we only hire bakers now. And the dexterity is important. I mean, you just have to be fast, otherwise it doesn't work. And you have to be good at early hours. You have to be comfortable at 4 a.m. That's a lifestyle, you know, it's a commitment. So we have one that comes in at 4 and one that comes in at 5. And then we have a machine that holds the dough overnight. I mean, a lot of donut shops start at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., but we have a machine that will change at 3 a.m. from a refrigerator to a heater. So it buys us a couple of extra hours of sleep.
Innovation.
Yeah, exactly. It's an investment in quality of life, basically. So that's been really helpful. But that's, we have 2 key bakers, and then we have a lot of part-time decorators who can come in if we get really busy, or we have a lot of orders that go out that day that can put things together at the last minute. Okay. Saturdays are huge, obviously. Fridays are big. Sundays we're closed, but that's typically a big donut day too. We might have to rethink that eventually, I'm not sure.
Maybe like shifted to a Monday or?
Could be, yeah. I mean, it could be we close Monday, Tuesday, but when you're downtown, it's an office crowd as well, so that's a trade-off. We haven't really figured that out. That's a lot to think about. All these micro decisions that you're in the middle of that you never really plan for. It's interesting. When you're on a food truck, you don't care. You just shut the door and go home.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's get out of here. But yeah, it's a whole different ball game now. So, but, yeah.
So these you actually brought some.
Yeah, I brought a few. We have a couple of kinds of blueberry here. This is a blueberry balsamic cake donut in the corners, here and here. Yeah. And that's my current favorite. And then I've got a blueberry cheesecake filled donut. Oh. This is banana pudding, which looks kind of boring, but it's actually a really good filled donut.
It looks good, actually.
Then I have a pistachio and our plain glazed sourdough, which is my breakfast usually.
Ah, yes.
I never get tired of that one. But yeah, this is a little look at what we're offering. They also keep really well. So we have a lot of people who are used to a classic Shreveport donut that's good for about 30 minutes after you buy it. Mm-hmm. Tastes great while it's hot. Then it turns into a brick. You know, these donuts, they'll taste fine later on that day. They'll even taste good the next day if you leave them on the counter. So people can come downtown and buy a 6-pack and still enjoy them the next day. So that's a bit different than what they're used to. And
it just says a lot about the product.
It is. It's a really rich dough, and it's not lean at all. So there's plenty in there to keep it ready for you the next day.
So it's not just donuts, though. We got
have
something
kolaches.
else. Okay.
Yeah. We have kolaches, and last year, well, actually, yeah, January, we started the Nashville chicken in the parking lot, which has grown into its own thing. Mm-hmm. We now have partnered with Great Raft Brewing, and we're doing food service at Great Raft. Okay. And that is hot chicken sandwiches. Now we have strips and wings, and we do school catering with that, which has grown into a pretty sizable business for us, which is chicken strips and sandwiches and donuts together. Ooh. Super healthy.
Well, I got to tell you, we were out at Calvary doing, I think it was a bodybuilding competition.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes, and I think y'all sponsored, but you were doing the chicken sandwiches, and it might have been other stuff too, but I got one of the chicken sandwiches. Oh, it is life-changing.
We had to give those guys some energy. Yeah, that was a fun event. But we do lunches at Calvary too on Thursdays. Okay. And that's a really good spot for us because after the donuts are done in the morning, we've got a lull, then we can do the lunches for the schools, and then we pick up for the Nashville chicken later in the day. So it kind of goes in cycles. But yeah, it's a lot going on. Yeah. But you're right, there's always something. Mm-hmm. But we're making good use of the building, and it's fun product. That's the most important thing for me, is it's got to be different. If somebody's already doing it here, there's no point competing. I mean, I want fun stuff, different stuff, and to bring slightly niche stuff to Shreveport that a more established restaurant wouldn't do. you know.
So I'll tell you, the phrase local food staple is thrown out a lot when people hear Dripp chicken, Dripp donuts.
Oh, thank you.
How does that make you feel?
That's exciting. You know, to be a part of the food scene here in a short time. I mean, we haven't really been at it that long. You know, I do have imposter syndrome sometimes because I don't feel like a career chef or a real, you know, I ask advice all the time from cooks. I'm like, am I doing this right? Is this good? You know, like, you know, Harry is our main chicken. He's basically the executive chef of the chicken business. And all the time I'm asking him, is this right? Is this right? But I mean, that's just part of it. You know, you're always learning. And I think being willing to learn and unafraid to try different things that you're not familiar with is what's enjoyable to me. If I already know how to do it, I'm not interested, really. I don't really want to do it. And once maybe that's a blessing and a curse. Because once I'm good at it and I'm familiar with it, I kind of lose interest. So you have to have the patience and the diligence to stick with things and make sure that the processes are consistent and quality stays up to standard, which I think we're doing a pretty good job at with the donuts, but still give yourself time to explore these other avenues and be creative in other ways. And I guess that's the trade-off too. Do you try to grow the business that you already have or the product that you're already good at? Do you try to expand that into other markets, which, let's face it, Shreveport's not a huge market.
True.
There's not a whole lot of runway for high-end donuts. I mean, surely there's more than we've tapped into. I mean, I'm not saying we've maxed it out at all or even close. I mean, I definitely need to put more work into that. But at the same time, I get a lot more personal enjoyment out of other product lines, you know, out of exploring new product lines or developing other concepts. So that's a personal trade-off I struggle with a lot, is doing what's better for the business or doing what's more enjoyable for me. And I have to, well, Michelle's really good at that, putting the brakes on my my ideas, my dreams. She crushes my dreams a lot, actually.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't, when you talk about imposter syndrome, I wouldn't, for me on the outside looking in, I wouldn't say that you should feel like that. I would say instead, if you show me somebody that says they have all the answers, that's the imposter. I don't think there's anybody that has all the answers. I believe the strength is actually getting help, asking those questions, because nobody knows everything, and I think that's what you're doing. I mean, that's basically what you said.
That's true. Yeah, you know, well, everyone learned one way or another, right? And it doesn't matter what age you learn it. If you learned it at 18 or 48. So yeah, I mean, I've never pretended to be a executive pastry chef. So I think if I was wearing a toque and a white pastry coat, then I would really feel like a tool, you know, like, but I'm not pretending to be a French pastry chef. So I think there is that. And I'm also doing the work, you know. And I've never been afraid to get, you know, flour under my fingernails. So I've always been proud of that, you know, that I make my own stuff. And it's more than just, it's never been just a money-making enterprise. Honestly, there's a lot easier ways to make money than food. You gotta love it, you really do. On a really small scale, there's a really strange kind of local celebrity aspect to it too. Like, I'll be at a red light and people will be like flagging you down, you know what I mean? Like, or you'll be pumping gas in your car. Hey, let me get one of those donuts, you know? It's just kind of,
Here you go.
yeah, oh, all the time, every day. And it's just fun, it's just a fun thing. I could be, an accountant or an engineer or something, and nobody would ever wave at me. But instead I'm the donut guy. So yeah, it's kind of fun. But you do get some payoff there for sure.
And you talked about how you have somebody that kind of keeps you level. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Michelle, she definitely is my. She definitely stabilizes me for sure. This is absurd, but I wanted to do like these rainbow-colored pasta things. Whatever. Anyway, I was gonna buy like a $15,000 pasta machine and start doing like rainbow. Anyway, I was sober too, but I was about to do it, and I was gonna buy a trailer and I was gonna pull it around all these things and do all this stuff, and I was convinced, man, this is gonna be great. And first she was like really diplomatic about it, like I don't know if this is the right time, and then she was like, you've got a lot going on right now. And then I think by the end of it, she was like, she's like, if you do this, I'm gonna kill you, basically. So, and then, 2 months later, you're like, yeah, she was right. That's stupid. Right.
That's a good team.
Yeah. You have to just, in the moment, I thought she was just absolutely causing me to, miss all this revenue. I was like, man, this is the next big thing. But yeah, she was totally right about that. But that happens a lot. Yeah. But she's really able to keep the family stuff in check too, because I had no idea. Like I had kids in my 40s, and there's no way to prepare yourself for that. You're like, whoa. Obviously, without someone to hold that down for you, there's no way to conduct business at all. So it's definitely a team. We're a team in the store too, but I can't say we're much of a team at home. She does like 90% of the stuff for the boys.
Holding it together.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely try to do my bit, but I'm just not home enough right now. But as they've got, they're 2 and 1 now. Edwin's 2 in November. So, as they've gotten older, it's easier for me or more fun, for sure. But yeah, it's really getting to be a lot more fun and more enjoyable. But yeah, that's for the first 6 months with 2 children was a very trying time for sure. That was different.
Bloodshot eyes,
man,
no sleep.
I thought the donut business was tough, but that's nothing. It's like 2 kids is for real.
Not even close.
Mm-mm. Man.
So now that you have, family is growing, before there was inspiration to kind of get things ramped up. Would you say right now the family is your inspiration and motivation?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question. I also I don't think you can really prepare yourself. As someone who's basically lived for himself for 40 years, literally that's what I did. I thought about, what do I want to do today? Or what's going to make me feel good? You can't really prepare yourself for that mental click of, well, what do I need to do to provide for these kids? And it's just, fortunately, nature, it just kind of kicks in, hopefully. Yeah, it did for me, thank goodness. But yeah, all of a sudden, you don't really care what clothes you're wearing or anything. It just doesn't matter, really. I do try to wash my car every now and then, and try to brush my teeth or whatever. But yeah, it's a whole different world. I think I swung a little too far in the other direction. I have to carve out some time for myself and reestablish a bit of an identity outside of work and fatherhood alone, because I went from basically being all self-centered to having no self, and it just kind of swung too far the other direction. But I think we'll find a balance there eventually.
Yeah, because a lot of people really don't think about that. I know it's cliche, but you hear it all the time when you get on the commercial planes. You know, you got to put the mask on yourself before you can put it on the kids. And a lot of people don't really think about it that way, but it is serious. If you don't take care of you, eventually you're gonna run out of gas, and then that's it. You're not gonna be able to take care of the family, the kids, customers.
That's a great way to put it. And I haven't been doing that as much as I should. I think I went through, like when we were building out the store, like when we were getting ready to launch last fall, I was in a really good place. I was exercising daily. I felt great, I looked good. And then obviously, you know, things launch, you just pedal to the metal and you don't look back. And now 9 months have passed and I'm like, whoa, you know. So I feel like we've got a really good team in place now. We've got the processes in place where I'm able to kind of pause and say, you know, what is an extra hour, what value is an extra hour of my time adding here, you know, or when is it an appropriate time to leave today, you know, or, you know, I actually have to put limits on the time commitment, you know, and budget time for yourself and the family and not just the shop. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the mask on yourself is the perfect analogy.
So let's bring it back to success. Not a lot of people could open up like actual brick and mortar downtown Shreveport. What do you say you would owe your success to?
People. I don't know what the secret sauce is here. If it's people just excited to see someone come back and try, and to do it in a really organic way. I think people responded to that, and I think that's what made us successful. I think the weather here is not great, but people would stand in line for 20 minutes to get, you know, a $4 pastry. And that's incredibly motivating as a business owner. You know, you wonder why you're getting out of bed at 3 in the morning sometimes, and that's why. If they're willing to do that for you, you know, I would get so excited driving to these events. And every day I would be like, I would ask Michelle, are they gonna come? Are they gonna do it? Are they really gonna do it? And I remember there was one time at the Benton Courthouse, I opened the door and there was nobody there. And I called Michelle, I was like, did you do the Facebook post? Where are these people? Like, I thought this was gonna be good. And then I turned around and they were all lined up on the other side of the van, like 45 people deep. And you know, and it's—
I gotta call you back.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it's just stuff like that. It just, you know, it's the people. It's just the people supporting you. And that's what made us successful here.
Well, that is all my questions. However, our SkillzPlus DJs put together a few songs that they think you maybe should or might not know.
Okay.
But we're gonna go into that game. Name that tune.
Okay.
All right.
Big Papa.
Nice, good job. Okay, next one.
Calvin Harris. No.
There was a time I used to look into my father's eyes. In a happy home, I was a king, I had a golden throne. Those days are gone, now the memories.
I know it. It's a treadmill song. It's like a gym song.
You give?
Yeah.
So the name of it, Don't You Worry Child.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, see? All right. So you 1-1. I know you could get this next one.
That's Outcast.
Okay.
Caroline. Mighty fine. What is it?
Roses.
Roses. Oh, man. Yes. Dang.
But you had Outcast, so we give you a half. You get half.
1.5? I'll take 50%. Yeah. That's good. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I enjoyed it.
No, thank you. It has been a pleasure having you on. And
I had some coffee. I tried to
perk it up a little bit.
I needed jet fuel, honestly. I needed to light a fire under me.
No, you were great. So last thing we need is we need you to look in this camera right here and tell everybody where they can find you.
We're at 421 Market Street, Texas and Market, right across from Regions Tower, down the street from Blind Tiger, Hayes Nightclub, the Sandbar. We're open Tuesday to Saturday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we have a parking space, free parking, 21 parking spaces right next to the building in the alley. So if you turn left off of Market, there's a little alley, big parking lot there, and you can enter around the front. Great patio, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesday to Saturday. Social media, I've got two handles. At Dripp Donuts, 2 P's, and at Dripp Hot Chicken, 2 P's. So Instagram is our main media source, and we do some Facebook too. Check us out.
And there it is.